Hello everyone, my name is T. Hunter. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you so much for coming back. So let's just get right into it. It's been about 2 months since my last video, but we are back because Married at First Sight Season 15 is back. So for today's review, I'll just be sticking with 4 of the couples because, well, unfortunately, the 5th couple, Ben and Morgan, have not been able to get married just yet because unfortunately Ben tested positive for COVID. So that leaves the remaining 4. Just going to be giving my, initial impressions based on what I saw at the wedding and the reception, and we'll go from there. So let's jump right into our first couple, Mitch and Kristen. Whew. So first impressions are overthinking can lead to the demise of a relationship just as well as falling head over heels, trusting or loving too quickly, loving and trusting blindly. So on Twitter, I know Mitch definitely was not getting a lot of positive accolades on the wedding day because he was pretty particular about how he wanted his hair and the length of his beard to be, and he just didn't like how he looked as far as the thickness and the fullness of his beard to him. He said it just was not full enough, and I'm sure that he was also feeling the nerves of, I'm getting married, I don't know this woman, my first time meeting her will be at the altar. I want to give a solid first impression, but if we don't look our best and we don't feel our best, it is hard to put your best foot forward. So I'll extend some grace to Mitch on that behalf. I'll just be 100% honest. On my wedding day, that was my very first time wearing foundation. And I did not like the shade at first. And so I was saying, I don't like it, I want to wipe it off. Thankfully, my stylist and my bridesmaids, they noticed like, okay, you're just getting really nervous because it's your big day. Let's just relax, let it oxidize, give it a few minutes. And if you still don't like the shade, then we can go back in and figure out how to troubleshoot from there. Gave it 5 minutes and child, my makeup was fine. But because of the nerves, if I had let that consume me, I probably could have shown up on my wedding day similar to Mitch, not feeling my best, and therefore I might be jittery, might not be the most patient, might be a little bit irritable. It happens. As for Kristen, first impressions with her on the wedding day, I would say she took a huge leap of faith and courage, not just because she's getting married at first sight, but telling her father, hey, meet me at this location and dress nicely, knowing that she was going to tell her father, I'm getting married today to a stranger. This is an arranged marriage. I've never met him. He has no knowledge of who I am. Will you walk me down the aisle? That could have been a complete train wreck because sometimes family and friends, they might not be so gracious with their responses when it comes to a process as intense and in some cases a little bizarre. I'm just so thankful that Kristen was respectful in her, request to her father. Like, hey, I would love for you to walk me down the aisle, but it is your choice. Like, I'm still getting married. I just would love to have you by my side. And major kudos to her father for just saying, you know what, I might not support this 100%. I might not get it. However, it's your life. You're my daughter. I love you. So I'm going to support you. I'll be there. I'll walk you down the aisle. And he saved whatever potentially negative thoughts that he might have had about this. He saved all scalding, scorching reviews for another time, because your wedding day is not the day that you want to be getting chewed out. I was very impressed by Kristen's father that he did not go all the way in ripping her to shreds on her wedding day, because that's not a good look, getting yelled at, especially by your father before you walk down the aisle. So love that he was very respectful of her feelings and respectful in his delivery of his thoughts. Okay. Another thing that stood out to me, once again, it's a judgment about appearances. Mitch was saying, he's not very attracted to women who are glammed up. And I'm thinking, sir, this is your wedding day. Of all days, a woman should get a pass on being glammed up when she is the bride. So I'm afraid that Mitch could potentially ruin this marriage by not being upfront and honest. Now, of course, there's no easy or loving way or kind way to tell someone, hey, I just don't find you attractive. That's going to sting regardless of if you say it politely or if you say it with so much shade. I just hope that he doesn't ask Kristen for specific things, and because he's not attracted to her, he knows that it doesn't matter what she does, he will never be satisfied, but hiding that detail in the fine print. So then when she delivers, he'll then say, yeah, I know that's what I said I wanted, but I didn't want it like that. I really hope that he will grow to just, just be more gracious, be patient, just see how this pans out. Just give this girl a chance, please. Do not mess this up, because Kristen seems like she wants to be all in, and any person who wants to be all in a marriage deserves to be with someone who matches that same intensity. So, no, they don't know each other yet. They'll get to know each other, and we'll see how this pans out. All right, moving on. Miguel and Lindy. So far, this couple, they're giving me fairy tale vibes. She's a physical therapist. He has a PhD in neuroscience. The doctor meets the doctor, they get married. How awesome. So they're both intelligent people, but they're also quirky. I know she had said in the matchmaking special that she would prefer to have someone who is smart, but also has a little bit of a nerdy side. And Miguel matches that description, given his background, educational and professional, and his pastime of playing Dungeons and Dragons with his friends. So, perfect balance. He's smart, a little nerdy. So, shows that he's human, as opposed to like a very perfect, I am smart robot type of guy. And so far, Lindy is here for it. She is here for Miguel. However, we know that happily ever after does not exist. True happiness in a marriage, it takes work. So, in the conversations that Miguel was having with Lindy's family and Lindy was having with Miguel's family, there were conversations around, backgrounds such as religion. The sister hinted at she and Miguel had a very tough upbringing, and she didn't go into detail because she said, that's not my place. I believe my brother should tell you all of those details when the time is right. And Lindy said, oh, I had a pretty bad upbringing as well, and either we're going to trauma bond and grow together, or trauma is going to tear us apart and this marriage won't last. And I thought to myself, I don't know how optimistic I feel about this idea of a couple coming together on the basis of, you have trauma, I have trauma, this is going to work. Because the sad thing about trauma is sometimes when people have endured it for so long, if they have not done the necessary work, be it in therapy, developing insight, practicing coping skills, identifying their triggers, and then identifying how they're currently responding versus how they ideally would like to respond. If they haven't done all of that work, a marriage is not going to solve that. Marriage is a mirror. It's just going to show you who you are and how you show up in life based on that other person. So I really hope that Miguel and Lindy have either done the work or are currently doing the work that they need in this, as far as healing from the trauma that they have endured, so that their marriage will have a fighting chance. That trauma doesn't have to be the reason why they're skeptical about whether or not this can last. And everyone responds to trauma differently. So for those who have been victimized, sometimes they might make a silent vow of, I will never be a victim again. And when the red flags and the flashbacks of what they've gone through start coming up in their present relationships, they could either do fight or flight or freeze. So we will definitely see as this season progresses which path they're going to take as far as their trauma. Another thing I wanted to touch on with Miguel and Lindy is boundaries. I'm sorry, the very first time that I meet someone, there are certain topics that are off the table because I don't know you, you don't know me, I don't know what your triggers are, you don't know what mine are. And thankfully, Lindy and Miguel didn't have super deep dive type of conversations with, hot topics, controversial subjects. But Lindy's brother, oh, that protective side was coming out so strong. Now, loved ones, I understand that you have an idea of what you would like the life of the people you love to look like. However, if your loved one is a consenting adult who has decided that they want to participate in a social experiment of an arranged marriage on a show such as Married at First Sight, then your input, unfortunately, was not enough. Lindy's brother was saying, I always envisioned that my sister would marry a God-fearing man because God and our relationship with him is very important to my family. So what are your thoughts on religion? Do you believe in a higher power? I'm thinking, no. Don't ask him that in your very first meeting. He doesn't know you. He doesn't know if you're a safe person that he can be open and honest with. And so Miguel is sitting there trying to be very careful and considerate about his answer because he does not want to offend someone simply because he believes differently than them. And while I can understand the brother might have meant well, it just was not the right timing. And just not good at all. Give people some time to get to know you, let them warm up to you. We don't have to jump right into, so who did you vote for? Oh, do you believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? Because if you don't, I don't think your marriage is gonna last. Sometimes getting too common, too familiar, too deep too soon, those can contribute to tension in the in-law dynamics. And we all know marriage in and of itself takes work, and there's an adjustment period because you're blending two lives together. So if your spouse already feels like your family just doesn't have good boundaries, that's going to be a problem straight out the gate. Let's move on to the next fun couple that I have enjoyed watching, Justin and Alexis. So Justin is the towering teddy bear, and I forgot what Alexis' tagline was, but I know she's very straightforward, pretty blunt, doesn't really pull punches or mince words. So that's going to be an interesting mix because Justin, his friends were saying at the reception that he is more sensitive. And I know Pastor Cal was defining him as more emotionally available. So that could ideally balance out Alexis' more direct nature, or if she's one to shut down, maybe being in a relationship with Justin will help her open up more and show her that in the right context with the right people, it's okay for you to be emotionally expressive, emotionally available. But this wedding day, they have definitely been a joy to watch. I feel like I have laughed the entire time of their reception. I am glad that during the reception, Alexis had, talked to, like, in her, like, one of her confessionals, she said, yeah, when I first walked down the aisle, he wasn't really, my physical type that I would go for. However, I'm going to give this a chance. And, the more that I get to know him as I've been talking to him and learning new things about him, I feel comfortable with him. And that's going to help me move past, the superficial idea of, you're not really my physical type, so I don't know if this is going to work. Kudos to her for saying that. There's nothing wrong with saying, I thought this initially, but I changed my mind. Or maybe I was more so focused on the packaging, but now that I've gotten to know this person's character, my mind has changed about them. So I'm glad to see that. I also noticed that there was, quite a bit of indulging in alcohol. So I hope that some of the things that Alexis said weren't just fueled by the booze. Oh, we'll see. We will definitely see what happens on the honeymoon. Those sober mornings will definitely let you know what you're really dealing with. Let's see. I feel like as far as the conversations that were held between Justin and Alexis' family, as well as Alexis' family and Justin, they exercised pretty good boundaries. Like, no one was doing a deep dive and sharing too much information or, making inside jokes that could turn the spouses off to each other. So that was good, because we have seen in previous seasons where, the groomsmen or bridesmaids, family friends might make some type of comment and high five each other, ha ha, funny, and the spouse is standing there like, this is a stranger to me, and what you just said sent up a red flag, and I already don't know them, so it'll be that much easier for me to run now. Yeah. So kudos to the family and friends of Justin and Alexis for, keeping it light as far as their conversations are concerned in this first time meeting, the new spouse. I also liked what one of Justin's friends had asked Alexis in the event that, they're having a disagreement, not seeing eye to eye. He said, okay, so when Justin calls and he has questions or there's some type of issue between the two of you, what is your cheat code? Should he give you space? Should he pursue you? What should happen? And I thought that was great, because that angle says, okay, sir, you're married, so my advice is going to turn you back to your spouse. Whatever issues you two are having, you can come to me or other people and maybe ask questions. And if you want my advice, I'll give it. But at the end of the day, the only way you're going to work through this issue is with the person that you're having it with. Go talk to your wife. And that is so necessary, because sometimes, unfortunately, we do see single and married folks alike getting a bad rep for sometimes encouraging their friends and family at the slightest sight of a disagreement or opposition. Just leave. Just leave. You don't have to stay. Life is too short for you to not be happy. It's like, yeah, and life is also too short for you to keep quitting on things that you say you want today, but the minute you see a cloud, you're ready to run. And we can't run from every storm. So I really appreciated Justin's friend for that wise approach and giving her a heads up. Hey, if he's coming back to you in whatever time span talking to you, just know that if he talked to us, we encourage him to come back and talk to you. Y'all are married, so y'all need to work this out as best as you can. I would say one thing that kind of baffled me was Alexis' response to Justin's confession that he has been celibate for the past 18 months. She was shocked and it almost seemed like that was a red flag for her. I don't know if that was because she was worried if he was a virgin, or if she was worried that her experience with him would be like that of with a virgin. She seemed pretty concerned, like, well, what if he doesn't know what to do? And I'm thinking, sis, You get to teach him. Uh, but, everybody doesn't like to teach, I guess. Some people would just rather you come in with professional skills. However, I commend Justin for taking a step back and saying, I'm going to be celibate because I don't want to keep adding to my body count. And pop culture doesn't necessarily understand that sometimes. Me being a Christian who was a virgin before marriage, to me, it's not mind-blowing if somebody decides, I'm going to be celibate before I get married, year and a half, 6 months, whatever that looks like. But everybody doesn't think like me. Everybody doesn't think like Justin. But I'll just say this. Justin may be celibate, but that man is ready to end that chapter, like ASAP. As soon as Alexis gives the green light, he's going. So he said in very clear terms how he was feeling as they were wrapping up the wedding day. So we will see. It just reminds me of that audio that's going viral on Instagram, probably TikTok too. Boy, we had a time last night. I feel like that's gonna be Justin's energy, should they, decide to go there. I'm trying to be careful what I say on YouTube because I don't want to get flagged. All right. Moving on to our final couple, Nate and Stasha. Can we just talk about this wedding intro? So, because they are marrying as strangers, they say, oh, so-and-so's family and friends would like you to know this about them. So, Nate's wedding intro has started out good. He likes hiking and sunsets. And Nate's friends and family would like you to know that he's a freak in the sheets. I thought, who put that detail in there? Like, which one of the friends was production talking to? And they said, can you tell us, what's a game changer detail that we should put in this intro for Nate's wedding day? And they thought, well, she needs to know she's getting a freak. Like, if that's really true, trust me, Stasha's gonna find that out. She didn't need the disclaimer. Oh, once again, boundaries. I wonder if in subsequent seasons of Married at First Sight, if there will be a coaching session, like, okay, now when you get to this reception, these are not good things to discuss. Or if we ask you for your input on what the family and friends would like for the new spouse to know, these are topics you should not mention. I don't know. We will definitely see how this pays off or not. All right, so the wedding was beautiful. Everything went well as far as them saying their vows and exchanging rings, going through with the process of actually marrying each other. So for Nate and Stasha's reception, it was nice, seeing them get to know each other, have conversations. Yeah, Stasha was asking him questions about, oh, so, like, what was the age range that you were looking for when they asked you, like, what you wanted in a wife? And he said, well, everything that you said that you are, you're independent, you have your own business, you are a boss. Those are the things that I asked for. And I had to be mindful that if I wanted a woman who meets all of that criteria, I would have to be flexible with, the upper limit on the age bracket that I was looking for. So I know Stasha was looking like, like, I'm 37. Are you sure you good with being with a grown woman? And I'm glad that Nate was able to recognize, hey, you're probably not going to meet a woman who checks every box if she's much younger. it's good that Nate is already showing that he can be flexible and say, you know, let me be a little bit more realistic. If I want this, I may have to sacrifice on that. So in this case, it would be you want an established woman, you're probably going to be marrying somebody who's older than what you expected and being okay with that. So, concerns. The boundaries between the marriage and the friendships that Nate has. So, Nate, I don't remember how long they said he had been living in San Diego. However, there was one friend in particular, Precious Megan. Child, she looked so overwhelmed. And at first I was thinking, oh, she's really happy for her friend. You know, she's so happy that he's getting married. But the way she kept crying, I was thinking, are those, I'm just so happy for you tears? Or are those, should have been me tears? All I know is Stasha was picking up on everything that was being said, reading in between those lines when she had that conversation with Megan. I thought it was odd that she had to even introduce herself. I'm Megan, by the way, so I'm thinking, so how long have y'all been talking without Stasha knowing who you are to Nate? That's awkward. And then when Megan started rattling off all the things that they do together, hikes and sunsets, and Stasha was like, rewind, what? Sunsets? Because in his vows, he said that sunsets were very special to him, and that's something that he would love to do with me. So, what y'all doing seeing sunsets together, best friend? What's going on? I could see it all in Stasha's face. And because there was a conversation at the bachelorette party where she said, I don't mind my husband getting attention from females. My issue will be if he's inviting the attention and not setting clear boundaries that will help guard our marriage and set up a precedence for respect. And she said, I don't want our marriage to be disrespected. So Stasha did it really well, listening and observing and taking mental notes. And then even turning to Nate during that conversation with Megan and saying, well, I hope you won't be doing a whole lot of game nights where you're not able to make time for us. You know, I'm your wife now. And Nate's like, oh yeah, I'll definitely make time for you. I'll definitely make time for you. And it's not saying that he cannot have friends and he cannot hang out with his friends. That's not the issue. The concern will be, what priority are you placing on your friendships in your marriage? Like, are you giving the attention to your wife, especially your wife that you just met? Are you giving her that attention that she needs so that you guys are getting to know each other and building together and taking this process seriously one day at a time? Because it's going to be really hard to do that if you have game nights every night, or if you're taking these strenuous hikes and watching romantic sunsets with a woman that's not your wife. So I'm definitely glad that Stasha is coming across as someone who wants to be very upfront. Hey, you know, I value respect. And if I'm not being respected in this relationship, that's something that needs to be addressed. And if it continues, disrespect continues, that's going to be a problem. So we will definitely see how all of this plays out over the course of this season. So far, I have been enjoying this. I think it's pretty ironic that they decided to film in San Diego after I have already left the state. But that's all right, because, you know, I've already been matched. Not by MAFS. I did not meet my husband on MAFS. Anyways, if you have enjoyed this content, please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to my channel for more content, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a future post. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.